Hello and welcome, everyone, to Good Old Rocky Talk, a Vols Society podcast. I'm your host, Brad, here with my partners, the Davids. We're glad you're listening wherever you are. This is Good Old Rocky Talk. I said it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. The Volunteers defeat the Florida Gators for the first time since 2016 and the second time since 2004. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Brad Frank, here with my partners, David Dees and David Morrison. How we doing, guys?
We're doing good. It was a wonderful weekend, and we're excited to recap our weekend trip up to Knoxville.
Yes.
I'm doing good. I'm worn out, just like I know you guys are. Here we are on Monday evening, still trying to get my voice all the way back, still trying to get my energy back, but it was totally worth it. It was an awesome weekend, and just really happy to come away with Tennessee winning.
So, for everyone listening here who doesn't know, all three of us, the three amigos here, were able to finally get together in Knoxville and enjoy the most wonderful day in Tennessee football that I've had in a long time. If you listened to the podcast last week, it's my first time back in Neyland since 2010. And my goodness, what a time to be back. It was an unbelievable day. It couldn't have gone more perfect. And we're going to get into that right now. But yes, we are still in recovery mode here. The bod is struggling a little bit. I know I talk about the bod a lot, but it's true. The bod is really trying to recover. We're in recovery mode right now. And I know that's happening with Dees. I know that's happening with Morrison as well. But my goodness, I'm not used to that kind of woo. I'm not used to that kind of activity, guys. But what a day it was. Um, let's go ahead and just jump right into it, guys. What a day. We're going to go ahead and talk about this Florida game real quick. So, again, my first time back in 12 years, and it did not disappoint. The Vols were victorious 38-33 over those Gators. Now, unless you're following on Vol Society, which is our official Facebook page, facebook.com/Vol Society. Is that right, David, or is it UT Vol Society? You know better than I do.
Facebook.com/UT Vol Society.
UT Vol Society. So make sure you put the UT in there.
Or if you search Vol Society, it should pull straight up.
Okay. We have thousands of fans in there. I mean, that's our biggest platform, but we're also on Twitter at Society Vol and YouTube. You need to check that out. If you haven't checked that out yet, I'm just going to kind of tell you about our day, okay? And when I say it couldn't have been a perfect homecoming for me, let me tell you, it was perfect. So, we get up there. Well, first of all, we're on our way up to the game, and I am a big believer and follower of it's called the Smoky Mountain Club. It is a club that Josh Dobbs is heavily involved with, and many other VFLs, where you can sign up, support them, and money and everything goes and helps the athletes that are currently there right now. Well, I support them any way I can, and I'm going to tell you right now, they delivered for us. We're on our way up, and I got to tell you, I got to give a shout out to these guys. I get an instant message from them saying, "Hey, what's a good email for you?" And I said, "Well, what is this about?" So I send them my email address. Minutes later, I get another response saying, "Hey, check your email. It's sold out, but we got you some comp tickets to get in here and join the Josh Dobbs tailgate today. We can't wait to see you." Guys, I'm going to tell you, that just made my day. So, again, if you're not following Smoky Mountain Club. They're on Twitter. You can find them. Just type it in. Get on there, follow them, subscribe to them. You're gonna love it. It's your way to have all access to all the players, and you're helping not only helping them out, but you're gonna get access to the players and some of the different chat rooms where you can chat with them occasionally, and it's just a fantastic thing they're doing there. Okay, so I want to give a shout out to you guys. So because of that, me and my amigos here, we get to go hang out with Josh Dobbs at the tailgate. It was incredible. We spent an hour or so there. They provided drinks, food, buffet food, all inclusive. It was incredible. So, guys, I really appreciate you having us there. It was just a fantastic thing you guys did there. And I certainly enjoyed meeting Josh Dobbs and some other VFLs that were there as well. And then you go from there. Can it get any better? Well, my goodness. We go to the Vol Walk, and we're standing right outside of gate 21. And when I say the VIP experience, it was the VIP experience. I'm literally standing right at the gate, wedged in between all the recruits and all the players' parents. And it was incredible. And that's including standing right next to five-star recruit linebacker Sammy Brown. And if you know who I'm talking about, all I'll say is the mullet guy. You'll look him up. You'll know who I'm talking about. I'm standing there next to him. I'm talking to him about, Tennessee and why he needs to come here. And there's no other option. You're coming here, buddy. And this guy was just a fantastic person to talk to. He's a great guy. And I hope he certainly sticks with it and comes to Tennessee. He's a fantastic human being. Also had a great conversation with Elijah Herring's mom and family. Hey, what a sweetheart she is, buddy. Fantastic. I spent 20, 30 minutes talking to her. And of course, everything she said was, I kept saying, you got to be proud. You got to be proud of him. She said, glory to God. And I tell you, man, she was a fantastic lady. So I got to meet them, talk to them, and we had a blast. Okay. And then after that, you go into Neyland and you have an environment like we had Saturday night. It was electric the entire game. Unbelievable. Now, it was closer than we wanted it to be, but let me tell you, it did make for one of the most memorable experiences for me personally. So, did we have a good time or what? Morrison?
Yeah, the whole day was just what college football is supposed to be, a big time game atmosphere. You had college game day. We didn't stay for the whole show, but we walked right by it right when they were filming in the middle of it, and just a mass of people, Tennessee fans, Florida fans, just enjoying that pregame build up. And then, like you said, transition. We went to the tailgate area with Josh Dobbs, and of course, other tailgaters were there, and just more and more massive people being there. Transition to the Vol Walk, and then going into Neyland Stadium. And I've been to several games over the last decade plus, and even like over 90 minutes till kickoff, there was people just filing into the stadium. And I've been to many games, and usually you get there under 90 minutes and you may have not even an eighth of the crowd there. It's still kind of an early
Yeah.
crowd. And like I said, they were coming in droves right towards kickoff. And at least by 20 minutes till kickoff, Checker Neyland was really popping. The crowd was fired up. And then just the entire pregame, doing the starting lineups, crowd was obviously going to cheer for their players, but they were very vocal, very energetic. And then right when the Pride of the Southland band came out and did all the pregame festivities, and I'll even tell you this: like even when the team ran out of the tee, I mean, just a massive pop from the crowd, just an unreal atmosphere just throughout the entire game. And then we're going to break down the game in general, but just that crowd was one of the best crowds I've ever seen in Neyland Stadium. They stuck for the whole game, even towards the end. Obviously, a big game. Uh, I don't even remember anybody leaving, even Florida
No,
fans. I mean, it
no.
was just everybody stuck around. I mean, it was just a great college football atmosphere, and definitely a game I will definitely remember throughout the rest of my life. But one of the greatest games I've been to.
Yep. These.
Yeah, I would say it was an awesome environment. These guys have already covered it. I think what was really impressive is how many people were there that didn't have tickets. They just wanted to be on campus. They just wanted to
Yes.
be there for the day and take it all in. I ran into a ton of people like that. And I know Vol Village did like a watch party uh, uh, for the day. And I'm not sure how many people they ended up having come out for that. But
I think
just,
it's
yeah,
great that they did that.
the amount of people that were on campus
Was incredible. It's electric.
and a lot of them weren't even going to the game. They just wanted to be there to hang out and take it all in. And it was just spoke to the moment and how big of a game that was for the program and for just for Tennessee fans. So it was exciting. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you guys, like I said, it's been 12 years since I've been back, but I gotta tell you, things have improved. The game day experience has improved drastically. And I can say this because, when you see it all the time, it's like when you see something all the time, right? You might not notice a change. But for me, it's been a long time. And I got to tell you, the whole game day experience was just fluid. It was great. Everything was clean. The stadium looked better. Hey, shout out to the people working on this stadium. The stadium looks good. The bathrooms I went in, fantastic. They were clean. Just everything was working nice. Even the electronic ticketing, you're in quickly. I just think it was so great. There wasn't really a hassle, at least for us. I thought everything was just so smooth. So like I said, I don't have enough words to say how great that day was for me personally. What a day. I'll never forget it. It was a great day. Um, and let's keep going into this Florida game real quick. Let's continue on. We have a lot to talk about, but hey, you already know this. I'm just going to repeat it. Um, as far as the game goes, I do want to give, and this is the first time I've ever wanted to do this. I have always disliked Florida. I still don't like them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Gator guy, but I do want to give a shout out to Florida and Billy Napier. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Hey, they played their best game of the year so far. Period. Say what you want, they did. They came to win, and they came to win at all costs. And Billy Napier came in there with an attitude of nothing to lose. I respect that from him. I think he really is going to be a good coach. I really believe that, even though he did lose his temper there and the crowd went nuts on him. But at the end of the day, hey, they played their best game. They came to win, and boy, did they make that a fun day for us. It was scary at times at the end, but what a day it was. So I want to go ahead and just say that, okay? Um, and real quick, let's go to the stats real quick, and then guys, I want to get your take on this. But hey, Hendon Hooker, this guy truly is incredible. Truly an incredible guy. We're lucky to have him. The guy went 22 of 28, 349 yards, 2 touchdowns, still no interceptions, and he had 112 rushing yards. Guys, he could be a Heisman candidate. And you know what? He could be very well one of the greatest quarterbacks to come through Tennessee. It's unbelievable what he's doing. I want to get your take on it in here a second, guys. Well, let me continue, and then you guys can put your 2 cents in. For the fans, did you know Hooker has now thrown a touchdown pass in 16 consecutive games? 16 consecutive games. That's the second longest streak in UT history. Schuler owns the record at 18. You think Hooker's going to beat that? I think so. My other take, Brew. We talked about it last week. The guy needs to finally, not that he's not done well so far this year, but we needed him. We needed him more than ever this game, and my God, did he deliver. Did he not? 5 receptions, 102 yards, averaging 20.4 yards. And then Ramel Keaton, this guy, holy moly, could have had the greatest catch of the game. 3 receptions, 69 yards, and he had a heck of a catch downfield. Go back if you haven't reviewed that catch. It's one of the it's one of the greatest catches I've seen. Shout out to that guy. Fantastic. My last thing I want to say, I'm talking a lot, and that's because I'm excited, guys, and I'm sorry about this. I do want to say, Florida, I'm going to give you one more shout out. Shout out to Anthony Richardson. Hey, he came out and balled. 24-44, 453 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hey, I don't like giving shout outs to Florida Gator that often, but I'm going to, hey, when it's due, it's due. He's going to be a pretty dang good quarterback, guys. He really is. We got to watch him, but he is. And he balled out. The whole Florida Gators balled out. But you know what? We ended up finding a way to win. Go Vols. Let's hear your guys' take. I'm sorry I talk so much, guys, but I am just jacked up tonight. Uh, Dees, Morrison, which one of you wants to take it? I want to hear your thoughts on the Florida game. Go.
Yeah, just my overall thoughts is it was a offensive explosion throughout the whole game. I'm sure both defensive coordinators are pulling their hair out after kind of that performance. But my overall thoughts is we saw two young coaches duking it out, and obviously we want Josh Heupel to stay there forever. We can't predict the future, but I feel very confident in him staying forever. And same thing with Billy Napier. But these two coaches right here, while they have experience in coaching some big games, these two coaches are going to be two of the top coaches in college football in the next decade. I truly do
I
believe
agree.
that.
I agree,
Um,
Morrison.
yeah, and you praise Billy Napier. I mean, Billy Napier and that Gator team, they had their backs against the wall. They've heard, yeah, you're a 10-point underdog. This is Tennessee's year. You're going through the rebuild. I mean, they did not hold back. They really threw everything at us. And, I'll give kudos to Billy Napier. Like I said, he had executed a great game plan throughout the whole game. And he made his mistakes. I know everybody's talking about the 2-point conversions. Should have probably kicked an extra point or had a chance to kick the field goal at the end. But he's going to learn from that. I mean, like I said, he did not hold back. I mean, I was sitting next to a gentleman beside me, and he was like, why is he going for it on 4th and 2 on their own 27? I was like, well, I think he wants to win this game. I think he's, rolling the dice at everything, and
One
he threw
punt
everything.
the entire game.
One punt, and that was from Florida. I mean, just unreal. So kudos to Billy Napier and even Josh Heupel. And I know a lot of Vol fans were kind of puzzled 2-3 weeks ago when Danny White gave Josh Heupel a raise and thinking, wait, he's only coached less than 20 games. Why we already give him a raise? It's kind of like deja vu with the last or the last coach we had in the AD. Well, college coaches, and especially schools right now, teams that are looking for head coaches. We've already saw Jeff Collins got fired yesterday at Georgia Tech. Nebraska's got an opening. I think Danny White did that because there's a lot of coaches or a lot of teams out there are looking at Tennessee and Josh Heupel like we need this guy on our campus.
Hey, David,
That's why.
anyone that's saying that, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're listening here, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings right now, but you need to hear this. Danny White did what he did because he's smart.
Yes,
Okay. He, in this regard, he's a little bit smarter than you and me, period.
he's playing chess while everybody's
The
playing
guy,
checkers.
when you know, listen, guys, when you know you have something special, there's always going to be someone out there that's going to try to take it away from you. What
Hmm.
Danny White did is put that to a stop immediately.
Yeah.
Continue, David.
No, I mean you're right, and that's why that he gave him that extension. And I'm sure he'll probably get ads. They'll probably add some years on his contract at year end, because Knoxville right now is a hot city. The University of Tennessee football team's a hot team, and I found a stat. I was trying to figure out, you know, Josh Heupel just coached his 17th game at the University of Tennessee, and I was like, how is his record right now at 11-6 compared to some of the previous coaches? So Josh Heupel right now is 11-6 in his career at the University of Tennessee. Uh, Last year he defeated number 18 Kentucky. This year he's already defeated two top 20 teams, number 17 Pittsburgh and number 20 Florida, and he's already defeated one of the big rivals in just his second year uh, in Knoxville. The previous coach, we'll just say JP, in his first 17 games went 6-11. He did pick 6 and 11.
God.
He did have two top 25 wins against Auburn and Kentucky, but JP did not pick up his 11th win until November the 9th in 2019 against Kentucky. Coach BJ, in his first 17 games, went 7-10, and he reached his 11th win on November 29th against Vanderbilt, and that was in 2014. Derek,
Wow.
yeah, Derek Dooley. I'll just name drop that. He went 9-8, so he did better than the. He went 9-8, just barely above 500.
Yeah.
But he had no top 25 wins that first year, and he reached his 11th win on November the 19th, 20, 2011 against Vanderbilt. And then obviously Kiffin didn't coach 17 games. Philip Former has the best one of the ones I did research. He went 14-3. So like I said, Josh Heupel has 10 wins in his career, the fastest since Philip Former, and two more wins over Derek Dooley. So
Wow.
yeah,
Thank you, Morrison,
you're
for
welcome.
putting that
That was a
together.
lot. Yeah, that's a
That's
lot.
fantastic.
So
David Dees. Let's hear
go
from you,
ahead.
man.
I'm done talking.
That was fantastic, Morrison. If that doesn't put things in
Thank you.
perspective.
Thank
Go
you.
Yeah,
ahead,
it's good
David.
stuff. Thank you for that, Morrison. I would say my thoughts on the Florida game. Number one, Hendon Hooker, how impressive he was and how gutsy of a performance that was out of him. Clearly, he got banged up early in the game. He kept playing. He took a shot from Ventrell Miller down around the goal line in the second half, got up in the guy's face. Just loved the effort out of him. He is the leader of this offense and the leader of this team. And to see that kind of effort out of him in the rivalry game against Florida, he really stood out. Uh, no one can question that guy's leadership ability and the way he's taken over things right now for him.
Yeah.
And what a way to use his legs. So many just spectacular runs and plays, and just really impressive to watch. I also was struck by just looking at Heupel's system, right? And being there watching the game live, you get to see guys running their routes, and it's so much different than watching it on TV because you can see the
Yes.
full field. There's guys running wide open on every single play virtually in his offense. And it reminds you of a Steve Spurrier type of offense. We used to be so frustrated by that in the 90s when you'd watch John Chavis go up against Steve Spurrier and he'd seemingly have receivers running wide open all over the place.
Mm.
And we finally have a coach that can scheme things up like that, that runs a system like that. And I think the Florida people are probably a little jealous. I think they'd like to go back to those days with the fast paced offense that gets up and down the field and scores a lot of points. Their offense looked fine the other day, but our defense is a bend but don't break type of defense. They're going to keep things in front of them. So that was another thing. Our defense, while they gave up a lot, they forced two turnovers. Amari Thomas had a sack fumble, and then the interception there at the end to seal the deal by Kamal Haddon. And then there was a 4th and 2 where they stopped Anthony Richardson on a quarterback run, and then they also forced Florida to punt one other time. So that's a total of 4 stops, 2 by turnovers, 2 by stops, and it was enough to get Tennessee the win.
Bingo.
And so they're not asking this defense to do a ton. Yes, sure, I would like to see their third down efficiency a lot better. I'd like to see them get off the field on third downs. When you've got a team in third and long on multiple occasions, you should be able to get off the field. But they did just enough to win the game. And I think that's all that this coaching staff's really asking them to do. Because bottom line, at the end of the day, Tennessee just doesn't have the horses yet on defense. They just don't. They
Right.
were restricted in their recruiting. They had less scholarships, so they couldn't work the transfer portal in the offseason like a lot of teams were able to do. So they were really handcuffed. And I think the staff's getting the most that they can out of their team and out of this defense. I think they will continue to improve. But if we're expecting it to be a 1998 Tennessee defense, that's just not going to happen. That's not the way the game's played anymore. But I think if this defense can continue to improve, get better week by week, get off the field on third and longs, the offense is more than capable of doing the rest. And then I would say no Tillman, no problem. We were without Cedric Tillman. It forced Hendon Hooker to rely on some other options, and you saw Ramel Keaton being one of the main guys that stepped up, a guy who's a backup receiver, has been here in the system for a while, and really a forgotten guy. So I was really glad to see him come in and make some plays, like you guys mentioned, one of the catches of the year, but that one where he dove out, laid out for it on the sideline, fully extended, and made a clean catch. You're not going to find a prettier catch than that. But really
Yeah.
just impressed with the way Josh Dobbs got more people involved, and Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt and Jacob Warren and Princeton
Hendon
Fant.
Hooker. You said Josh
Yeah,
Dobbs.
excuse me, Hendon Hooker. It's easy to confuse the two of
I
them,
know.
but
Well, we were tailgating with him pretty much all day, so I totally
yeah.
understand it, David. I'll let it slide.
But it just speaks to Josh Heupel's system, and Hendon Hooker's playing great. These receivers are making plays. It's just such a skill position friendly offense that
Yep.
it's fun to watch, and it's nice to do to Florida what they typically have done to us. So that was just a lot of fun to be there in that environment and see Tennessee come up with a win.
Hey, man, brother. You speak of Heupel, and his brilliant offensive mind, and you're right. Being there in person, it allows you to see things that the viewers on TV are not really able to capture. And I'll give you the best example. That play where and I'm telling you, it was drawn up this way. If you think it was just by accident, no, it was not. This was Josh Heupel at his best. What was the play, guys, where Brew McCoy's out there on the left side, and they was he in the slot? Um, well, they had two receivers, I believe, on the left side, and one kind of went out to the sideline at the last second, and the back gets went with that guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? Leaving Brew wide open.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm talking about?
Yep.
that was
Hey,
It
go ahead.
that
it
was
caused confusion for Florida. They switched. They knew they were in man, and they switched. The cornerback who was on Hyatt switched over
Yes,
with him when he went in
that's it,
motion, and the safety never picked up Brew McCoy, so he ran wide open on that. I don't remember how
brother.
many yard pass it was,
If
60-yard pass.
if you don't
70
think
yards.
that was Josh Heupel at his best, you guys need to learn a few things about this guy. That was incredible. And as soon as that defender went with that guy, I remember looking at Dees and I said, they're going to go to him. It's totally, they're confused. I'm telling you. Ball snap, Brew wide open. Almost took it to the house. Incredible. That's Josh Heupel for you guys. All right? Incredible. It's so fun to be there and see that live.
I'll give you my one complaint, right? There's multiple complaints, but I'll give you the one thing.
Yeah.
I'll start with a positive. I think they've done more to try to take some clock off this year than they did last year. Um, and I would just say in that last possession on offense for Tennessee, where they were held on fourth down in the red zone, uh, just felt like they could have been a little bit more aggressive there. If your goal is to not take the points and kick the field goal and go up 14, if you want to try to go for it on fourth down and milk the clock out, you got to be a
Right.
little bit more aggressive with your play calling there. That's my only gripe, and I think that's something that Hyper will definitely, continue to improve on. And uh, but I would have liked to have seen them either kick the field goal and go up 14 there, so you're not leaving them an opportunity to convert an onside kick and then get a Hail Mary, but and them take the lead. I'd like to see them take the points there or be more aggressive with the play call.
I think most would agree with that. I think that's the one thing that most would agree with. But you know what? As you said, it's a learning experience. These guys are down there making the plays, right? Making the calls. We're allowed to do this kind of stuff, but it's not easy. But no, I think most of us would agree with that. I would have liked to seen the points. Um, let's move on, guys. I mean, we could sit here and talk about Florida all night, but we have a show to do. All right. We're excited about the win. What to be 4-0. Gosh, fantastic. And by the way, another thing going in our favor this year. LSU game is officially set. The time is set. It'll be a 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Woo! What a relief. Am I right, Morrison? Because I'm going to tell you, you don't want to play at night in that place.
No, you don't. Thankfully, CBS has the doubleheader Saturday, and they already picked A&M and Texas A&M, and pretty much the SEC kind of shift the schedule around where they don't have any competition. So yeah, a little breakfast on the bayou. I
I
know.
love
I'm
it.
sure some LSU fans are not happy having that 11 a.m. local
Well, a
time
lot of them will
kickoff.
still be asleep by that time,
Yeah, so not there
hopefully.
won't be there ain't gonna be a lot of gumbo and jambalaya
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
9 a.m. So I mean that's definitely an advantage too. Like I said, you talked about how Tiger Stadium is so intimidating. The fans are so passionate, so loud. One of the toughest places to win in the country, and I'm sure it's still going to be intimidating at times. But definitely having that early kickoff especially for LSU, kind of still in that AM mindset, it's definitely plays the cards in our advantage. And like I said, and especially now we have of course, we're on the bye week now, which is, normally I don't like having a bye week that early on in October, but this year really helped out because you get the Florida win, you get off of that high from the Florida game, celebrate it this week, and then focus on LSU next week. Get some guys healthy. Hopefully Tillman can come back healthy. I thought he was
Yeah.
going to play Saturday, and turned out he didn't, which is my fault because I overestimated that. But anyways, get some guys healthy. Get some guys that maybe be banged up. Get them ready, and let's go down to LSU and go 5-0 and get ready for Bama.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, guys, let's move on. Awesome win. Florida game. Fantastic. What a day it was. All right, guys, let's go to our next segment that we always like to go to is what did we learn this past week in college football? Um, being at the game all day, pretty much Saturday, didn't get to really keep up with a lot of football as we were hanging out with Josh. Did I already say that? Anyways, let's move on. But let's talk about a few things real quick. You guys chime in. Let's hear your thoughts on this. But what I do know, Clemson, Wake Forest. Wow, apparently they had a great game. 51-45 and in two overtimes. Clemson takes the win there. We have Georgia. I got to tell you this. For what did I learn? I think Georgia might have a few flaws finally after only beating Kent State 39-22. Hey, that's pretty interesting. All right. That's pretty
Definitely
interesting.
is. It definitely is because Kent State runs a up tempo offense just like us. Matter of fact, in the fastest teams in America, usually we're right there with Kent State and Ole Miss. So it could be a little
Interesting.
bit of a preview here in a few weeks. Matter of fact, a couple of months.
So that's something to keep in mind, folks. That was I couldn't believe it when I heard that score, 39-22. That's interesting. And then we got, let's see, what else did we find out? Some ranked team. Oh, number 4, Michigan barely defeats Maryland. That's interesting. Auburn barely beating Missouri 17-14. Didn't you? Hey, can we give a shout out real quick? Middle Tennessee, another Tennessee team here.
That's the big story of the weekend. MTSU taking down Miami at Miami.
No question.
Mario Cristobal
45-31.
coming off a loss
Yep.
to Texas A&M, and then they lay an egg against MTSU. Congratulations to MTSU. taking down Miami, and not a good start for Mario Cristobal at Miami.
No, not at all. Truly unbelievable. I mean, they beat him pretty good. It wasn't a field goal or anything like that. I mean, they beat him pretty good, 45-31, Middle Tennessee. Love it. These are the stories I like to hear about.
Kentucky continues to play down to their competition. They struggle and only win by 8, 31-23 over Northern Illinois.
Wow.
That's been a habit of Mark Stoops' tenure. They played down to teams. If you remember last year, Chattanooga had them on the ropes late in the fourth quarter. That's just something that Kentucky does, and their offense has not really gone off yet this year. Will Levis has not uh, really put up a ton of numbers. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on there. What Kentucky does and what their offense specifically does moving forwards.
Definitely. Ole Miss barely escapes Tulsa. What was that 35-27? Is that right? Lane
That's right.
Kiffin barely, barely beating Tulsa. That's interesting.
Since LSU's the next opponent, I'll just highlight their schedule so far. So they lost obviously by a point to Florida State in week one. They then played Southern University and won 65-17 in a blowout. Their most impressive win of the year probably is 31-16 at home over Mississippi State. And then last week they won 38-0 to New Mexico. And then this week they're on the road at Auburn, who's a bad team. So I don't know that you're going to really be able to tell a whole lot more about LSU. It seems that they've improved since the Mississippi State win. That was, if we're going off of that, they're much better in the Mississippi State win than they were against Florida State in week one. But, I just don't know what we're really going to know about them coming into the Tennessee game. I think Tennessee has the ability to test them more than anyone has to this point. We'll be the best team that they've faced.
Yeah, I agree with that, Morrison.
My thoughts is who's going to win the Big 12? The Big 12 is now wide open. We
Mm.
saw when I came back home from Knoxville, I turned on Fox and they had Kansas State and Oklahoma, and Kansas State went into Norman and won 41-34. Kansas State's kind of
How
been
about
a
that?
dark horse. Yeah, they've been like kind of a dark horse in the Big 12. Texas fell in Lubbock to Texas Tech. They got a first year head coach, and looks like everything is looking good for them. West Virginia had a nice bounce back win. They lost to a team that I'm about to talk about in a minute here, but they went to Blacksburg and just demolished Virginia Tech 33-10.
Yeah,
Baylor looks good. They defeated Iowa State. Uh, and we got to talk about the surprise team in college football this year. The Kansas Jayhawks are 4-0 on the year.
incredible, huh?
They like I said, this team was only projected to go 2-10 or 3-9. Lance Leopold, this is his second year in Lawrence, has completely turned this team around. They went to Morgantown and upset West Virginia in week 2. Went down to Houston, beat one of the favorites to win the American Conference in the Houston Cougars, and then defeated Duke, who came into the contest undefeated themselves and won at home. And now they get a big matchup coming up, I believe this week against Iowa State. So shout out to Kansas. I mean, yeah, they are a basketball school, and it's been a long time since they've had something relevant in football. But shout out to that team. They really have been the surprise team in college football. And like I said, the Big 12 is wide open. Who knows who's going to win it?
Yeah, that Lance Leopold's the real deal. He had an
Yeah.
awesome start to his career at Buffalo, revitalized that program, and then now taking over in his second year at Kansas, starting off 4-0. Somebody's going to grab him pretty soon in one of these bigger schools. Maybe Nebraska. Who knows?
Yeah. Yep. Anybody talk about the Arkansas already? Maybe you guys did. I just missed it. Number 10, Arkansas loses to Texas A&M 23-21.
The field goal kick that hit the top of the upright and just fell back into the end zone.
Yep. So, guys, we keep learning every week, like a lot of these ranked teams and non ranked teams, you just don't know. That's why you get out there and you play every week. A lot of upsets happening all over the place. So that's why I love college football, man. What another great week it was. Um, Another question for you guys. I'd like to get your thoughts on this. How do you grade Tennessee so far through the first 4 games? How do you grade them? Let's go Morrison. How do you grade Tennessee?
I would go with A. I mean, you're 4-0 right now. Offenses look fantastic. Hendon Hooker is having a Heisman like season. Uh, the wide receiving core has looked fantastic. So much depth. Even losing a top wide receiver in Cedric Tillman, they came out, executed their game plan. We saw, uh, Brew McCoy really emerged this past week, and we talked about he struggled against Akron, but we saw Jalen Hyatt emerge, and then he still had a great game against Florida. Ramel Keaton has done a great job. Defensively, they do great on the run. The secondary is still shaky, uh, but I still think they're still forcing turnovers. Kamal Haddon had an interception on Saturday, the final play of the game. Flowers does have a pick himself. McDonald had one in the first play of the game to start the season. So I'll go A on them. I mean, this has been a very exciting team. Like I said, there are some miscues from here and there, kind of like every team has their own, but nothing like outrageous or just want to punch a hole in the wall what they've done so far this year. So
Yeah.
awesome job for Josh Heupel so far in the first month of the season.
Cool. David Dees, what's your grade?
Yeah, I would go A as well. I just think that they've taken care of business, right? They're 4-0. When you played inferior talent and inferior opponents, Ball State and Akron, they blew them out early. There wasn't any playing around with them, letting them hang around in the ball game like we've seen over the years here at Tennessee, playing down to lesser competition. And then you go on the road and beat the defending ACC champions in Pitt, and then you win at home over your arch rival Florida. So that's just a great start to the season, and the staff has it's remarkable what they've accomplished in the short amount of time that they've been here with
Yeah.
the roster restrictions that they had when they came on board. It's been really incredible.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, for what they've done in a short amount of time, it's not happened anywhere else. I mean, it's unbelievable. Um, I want to break mine down in different ways, though. I want to break mine down into different categories for my grades, just to make it a little different. So I would say one category for me would be finding a way to win. A plus. A plus. No question. When's the last time we have found a way to win? God, it's been years. So I'm going to give them an A plus there. Uh, Offense, A plus. Why? Because Josh Heupel is there and he's an offensive genius. And I haven't seen anyone really yet that can stop our offense. It's been incredible to see, and I can't wait to see what he's got up his sleeve going further into the season. Defense, I'm going to give us a B. And I think that's fair. Some people might say, well, whatever. But here's my reasoning. It's not an A. I don't care what you say. It's not because they're not trying and playing hard. We have the athletes we have, guys. Okay? They're working their butt off and have they improved drastically since Heupel's been here? Absolutely. But I'm giving us a B. I've said it all along. Our secondary is one of our biggest weaknesses. And I can't say that I'm going to give us an A. I can't say that. I just can't say we're at an A there. However, it's a solid B, a well deserving B. And with what Heupel has and the players we have right now, hey, it's incredible. And I'll take that B all day. So that's my take on that. Let's go to our next segment. And guess what? It's my favorite segment. Let's go to the mailbox. The Vol Society mailbox. I'm walking to the side of the road, grabbing the mail out. Just kidding. We're going to go to the mailbag section here, guys. All right. I love this section. This is where we get to hear from you, the fans. We love you guys.
It's the mailbox delivered by Roger, right? Shout out to Roger.
Shout out to Roger. It's my wife's father who has retired from the Postal Service from up in the New Hampshire area. One of the best to ever do it, folks. Delivering mail in the freezing negative-degree weather in the snow for I don't know how long, 40, 50 plus years, whatever it was.
Maybe one day we'll
I
have like
couldn't
a
do it.
UPS or a FedEx sponsorship and it can be sponsored by them. But for now, it can be sponsored by Roger.
That's right. Sponsored by Roger. Let's go to our first question. First question comes from Travis G. from good old Clarksville, Tennessee. Travis, thank you for the question, sir, and thank you for following. So Travis asks, where does this Tennessee-Florida game rank for best all-time atmospheres in Neyland Stadium? Gosh, Travis. Thank you for the question. I'm glad you asked that because we were there. And we can actually give you an honest answer to that. I don't want to do this one first. David Dees, I want to hear from you first. Morrison second, and I'll go last. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I would say it's got to be in the top five, probably. Um, it's one of the better Florida games. I've been to three or four Florida games through the years. It's one of the top ones. I would say in this last 20 years, it's probably got to be in the top two or three ball games in terms of atmosphere. Oklahoma in 2015 is definitely up there. I think Alabama a couple of times has been really an awesome environment. And then 2016 when Tennessee beat Florida the last time prior to this was a really good environment. But yeah, it's definitely got to go down the top. And again, like I mentioned on the top of our show, just how many people were on campus that just didn't even have a ticket to the game. They just wanted to be there. They wanted to tailgate. They wanted to partake in the atmosphere. You go down the Vol Walk and people are 30, 40 people deep on both sides. It was just a mass amount of people and just so much excitement and just the build up to the game was amazing. And yeah, I would say it's definitely got to be one of the top five atmospheres probably at Neyland Stadium in the last 20 years.
Cool. Morrison.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the kind of the whole day and then just the build up to the game and talked about there's people coming in an hour and a half before kickoff and I've seen some sparse Neyland Stadium crowds like 9 minutes ago, and it was kind of quiet. But yeah, I would definitely say right there in the top five, maybe top three atmospheres. I know Brad, you were at that '04 Florida game. I'm sure that was an electric atmosphere. Right up there, we talked about the Oklahoma game, but I think as far as the atmosphere with pregame, and I forgot to mention this earlier, right before kickoff, there was so many recruits on the football field. I've never seen that many people on the field, an hour and a half before a game. It looked like the Super Bowl. I mean, just
Yeah.
with media and recruits and
Yep.
recruits' family, including players and coaches warming up. It was just an unreal experience, and Checker Nealon's always a just a magical sight to see in person. Of course, always looks great on TV. And yeah, it's just the crowd was just buzzing the whole entire time. Nobody left. Even at the end, it was still packed. Everybody, of course, we're in the days of social media, and everybody has a cell phone. Everybody taking pictures and making TikTok videos or posting on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, just the memories. I was doing the same thing too. Apparently, I made a woman mad because I was doing it because I apparently, I don't know, she was kind of being crabby, but that's beside the point. Uh, but just overall, just a great atmosphere, and I'm so glad that with the win and just the players going to the student section, sitting on the rail, I guess not really a rail, but the wall, and just soaking it in, and that's what I love about college football, and you see it every week, just big wins and the players going to the student section and just celebrating in the night. Of course, I know when we were leaving, fraternity row was going nuts too, with the parties and stuff, and you just don't get that anywhere else, except only in college football. Just the great atmosphere, and kudos for the just Knoxville bringing it to just bringing it up another level. So yeah, this definitely is an atmosphere I will never forget.
It was a great celebration of everything Tennessee sports. There's so many former Vols on campus from all different sports, and obviously game day was there. Just the whole day from start to finish. Just uh, what a love letter, what a recruiting tool, whatever you want to call it. It was just the best of the best for Tennessee sports on Saturday, and just really really fun to be a part of.
Amen. It was. It was. For me, probably ranks a close second for me. Morrison already hinted on it. Probably number one for me still has to be that Tennessee Florida game in 2004. As we all know, that's when Will Hoyt makes he kicks a 50-yard field goal to win the game. I've never seen anything like that. It also, um, what makes it memorable for me is it's something that's in the record books forever. It was the largest crowd that Neyland Stadium has ever had, and it'll never be that way again. It's 109 or 110,000. There's never been that many people in the stadium. So you can imagine how loud and crazy it was. It was something I'll never forget. So that's probably got to still stay my number one, but I'm going to be honest with you. This is definitely probably that number two for me in terms of atmosphere. It was electric. And I won't forget it. 20 years, 30 years from now, I'll remember this game. It was fantastic. It was a perfect day.
Well, let's hope we've got another one of these coming down the pike here in 2 weeks. If Tennessee can take care of business against LSU on the road,
Yeah,
or I guess it's 3 weeks. If Tennessee can take care of business on the road in 2 Saturdays against LSU, then wow, what a ball game coming
yeah,
up. We'll get into that later, but just you
no
can feel it,
question.
right? You can feel it coming.
No question.
If that happens, then this past
Yeah,
Saturday may have to take a back seat.
you're right. Let's go to our next question. Carrie H. from Birchwood, Tennessee. Where's Birchwood, Morrison? Dees? Anybody know?
Birchwood's right. It's in Hamilton County. You didn't hear about Chattanooga.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining. Thank you for your question. What do you think the play of the game was against Florida? That's a great question, Carrie. Thank you for that. Well, I know mine. I don't know about you guys, but I know mine. What was it, guys? I'm drawing a blank a little bit, but wasn't it like a third and long down in our end zone close to it, and boy did we need to
It
do
was right
something.
before half on the
Was it before
99-yard
half?
drive. Yeah, it was the 99-yard drive.
That's
I
it.
think this is what you're referring to. Yeah,
You're
it was
right.
third. It was 3rd and 10, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. Was it before half?
It
I
was
guess
the
it
play.
was.
It was the play before the Ramel Keaton catch.
God, think you're right. It all goes back to Hooker. Is that what you're referring to, David? Yes. Okay. Then it has to be it. Gosh, I don't know why I thought it was later in the game, but yeah, I guess it was before half. We were right there at our end zone, and Hooker made an unreal play. I don't care what you say. This play, in my opinion, is what kept us in the game and helped us get the W. In my opinion, okay, you may disagree with that. He avoided pressure like no other. Oh God, I don't even know what he did. He just stepped around, avoided the sack, and ended up making a miraculous throw off balance, completing it, getting a first down, which resulted ultimately in a what was it, a 90-something yard.
It was a 99-yard drive. Yeah, we had the ball to start. Florida had punted. We had the ball on our own 1 yard line.
Was it the
Third
one?
third
So not,
third down
yeah,
came up, and Josh.
incredible.
I mean, so I did it again. Hendon Hooker completes a dart. He gets pass rush, comes loose up the middle. He has to step up in the
Yes,
pocket to avoid the rush and the sack. He throws a dart to Princeton Fant over the middle, catches it on 3rd and long for a first down, and then the
that's
very
it.
next play is the long pass on the sidelines to Ramel Keaton that sets up the rest of that drive. But if you don't have that 3rd and long conversion there by Hooker, uh, Tennessee's punting the football and there's no touchdown before first half. If you remember, Tennessee got the ball first in the second half, so that play there led to a touchdown to end the half,
Yes,
and then they were able to start the second half, and that's a 14-point swing. It gave Tennessee a 10-point lead, I believe.
brother, and you thank you for doing that. You see why that's my key of the game right there? I'm going to tell you right now, that was huge. Shout out to Hooker, man. I got to tell you, this guy, when you need him, he knows how to make a play. So for me, that's as David nicely just put together for you guys. That's it. That's literally the play that did it for me. You guys have what are your thoughts? What are, Morrison, what's your play?
Yeah, there were so many great plays. We talked about the Brew McCoy catch. Jacob Warren had a nice catch, wide open, broke free. Glad to see that. He had a couple big drops in the game. Of course, we talked about Ramel Keaton, but I went back and watched the highlights on CBS's Sports' YouTube page because of course, they broadcast the game. But one play I did like, uh, 12:08 to go in the third quarter. Tennessee is in the red zone, uh, going in for the score to try to go up by 10. And Jabari Small was lined up with Hendon Hooker, and they sent two receivers on a slant, and Jabari Small broke open on just went down the sideline, broke open, and Hendon Hooker just threw it up to him, and he was just wide open and walked
Yes.
right into the end zone. I mean, it's not a Sports Center top 10 play, but I mean, it's just knowing your personnel, knowing what Florida's defense is running that play, and just a great heads up play by Hendon Hooker, not forcing a play down the field, but checking it to the running back. No one covered Jabari Small, easy touchdown, and Tennessee went up 10 at that point.
Awesome play. Yeah. Thank you, David. Awesome
Mhm.
play. How about you, Dees?
Those are all good ones. I love the one both you guys brought up. I would say the most entertaining to watch was the run. I don't remember for how many yards it was, but for Hendon Hooker, I believe it was in the third
Gosh.
quarter. Looks like he's got a
Yes.
sack fumble on the way. He pulls the
Yep.
ball back like he's getting ready to throw, and he pulls it down, and he runs, and he gets behind Princeton Fant. Princeton Fant hustles down the field, gives him a nice key block to spring him a little forwards for an extra 20 some odd yards. It had to be at least a 40 or 50-yard run. But yeah, just watching him use his legs and a play that you thought was going to end in a sack, and he ends up busting it out and making it one of the bigger plays in the ball game. That was probably mine.
Awesome. Those were good ones, guys. Let's go to our next question. Hillary M. from Dandridge, Tennessee. Hope you're doing well, Hillary. Hillary asked on Facebook, do you think Tennessee can beat Alabama or Georgia this season and contend for the East? Wow, that's a loaded question. Oh, gosh. Hillary, I got to tell you, for me, I don't know if that will happen, but I do think it could happen to one of them. It's possible. It all comes down for me, it all comes down to one thing. If our defense can keep improving, especially in the secondary, once again, secondary, I'm not saying they got to be perfect, but if we can keep improving game after game, and these guys on our defense can make some plays, you know, I think it's possible. I have all the confidence in the world with Hooker and our offense putting up points. I think 99.9% of the fans listening believe that. But we have to make bigger plays on defense if we're going to have a chance with those caliber teams. They don't have to play perfect, but they've got to make plays. So I don't know if that answers your question, Hillary, but I mean it could happen. I'll just leave it at that. Morrison.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell at this point. Like I said, this is a huge statement win for Tennessee's program and climbing back into the SEC East. I feel confident in the rest of the SEC East as far as us matching up well with them. Georgia is the top dog, pun intended if you want to throw it in there. Uh, like I said, you go down to Athens, they're a tough team. I know we saw Kent State, who runs a similar offense, got to score pretty easily on Georgia. And I could see when we go down to Athens making it a competitive game, but playing a full 4 quarters. Uh, Kirby Smart, did a great job last year on us, kind of shutting our offense down the second half. So like I said, I just think Tennessee still just needs to go out and win, still be competitive, blow out the teams that we need to blow out, and whatever happens with Georgia is going to happen. But definitely, Tennessee is a team that's on the rise. Uh, Next year when Georgia comes to Knoxville is going to be very interesting, especially where we are stacked up. And I can't remember exactly what day that game is next year in Knoxville. But we're talking about an electric atmosphere with Florida, and we're going to have another one with Alabama. That's going to be one in 2023. So if there's going to be a year possibly to get Georgia, definitely next year, and definitely we need to be right there with them in 2024, 2025. And I know that's a long way off from where we are right now, but like I said, it's not going to be this year, but definitely the future looks bright. And then, matter of fact, I feel more confident us matching up with Alabama at this point than I do with Georgia.
Yeah, Tennessee gets Georgia in 2023, the next to last game of the season. It's November 18th in Knoxville.
Wow.
So very
Okay.
late game. A
Yeah, it
lot
is
riding
late.
on it. Yep.
Yep. Interesting. Yeah,
For me,
Dees, go ahead.
I personally don't think Tennessee has the personnel yet to talk about them seriously contending to dethrone Georgia from the East. However, with the style of play and the system that Josh Heupel runs, I think there's not a game that Tennessee's going to play this season where they're not going to hang around and be in it in the fourth quarter. And for me, that's a huge accomplishment. And anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So who knows? But I just think uh, it's probably not likely that Tennessee wins the SEC East, but I do think that they can play with both Alabama and Georgia for 4 quarters. And who knows? Maybe they can win.
Cool. Time will tell, guys. Time will tell. Let's go to our last question. Justin K. from Sevierville, Tennessee. Justin asked on Facebook, do you think Hendon Hooker will be a Heisman finalist? Good question. Morrison, what are your thoughts?
I think if Hendon Hooker's going to be a serious contender for the Heisman Trophy, he's going to have to upset, to me, either Alabama or Georgia. I think he could put up the stats and still put up, you know, great numbers. But past Heisman Trophy winners has always had that big marquee win. And if you go out there and let's say just for this instance, Alabama comes to Knoxville and we pull the huge upset, everybody's definitely going to be talking about Hendon Hooker, kind of like they are a little bit this week with the Florida game. But we were a favorite to win. It's going to have to be, you're going to have a big marquee win either over an Alabama or Georgia, or just go absolutely bonkers on Kentucky or South Carolina going almost now 450 yards or something passing. So it's got to, I think it's going to have to be a big marquee win along the way. Johnny Manziel 10 years ago upset Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and that's how he ended up winning it and kind of go throughout history. It's got to be a big marquee win to get a serious consideration. It's nice hearing the talk right now, but if he wants to be a serious contender, it's got to be a big marquee win over one of those two programs.
Yeah. David Dees.
Yeah, I think he can be a finalist. I agree with David. He's going to have to knock off Georgia or Alabama to be a serious contender to win it. I think he's going to have great numbers. He already is putting up great numbers. He's in the top five in most categories. I think if he keeps his interceptions and his turnovers down, um, that definitely will help his cause. But I think, yeah, you gotta beat Alabama or Georgia to seriously be considered an actual chance of winning it. But maybe his numbers are good enough to at least get him invited to New York.
Yep. Yep. So I think we all three agree on that. I my number one thing was going to be exactly what you guys just said. He keeps doing what he's doing. Um, and he can get a big win against Bama and or Georgia, then yes, his odds are pretty dang good. So, guys, I think we all agree on that. And it's very possible. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if he's gonna actually, you know, contend and be considered for the Heisman, he's got to get that big signature win. So we'll see what happens there. But I do think he's certainly one of the greatest QBs to ever come through Tennessee. From what I mean, his stats alone. I mean, my goodness, I love this guy. He's a special man. I'm telling you. So let's see what happens there. All right, guys. Well, that's it for our mailbag section. Really appreciate your questions. Please continue to keep sending those through to us. You can send those through to us a variety of ways on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube. Um, We'd love to hear those questions, and we'll be sure to answer those as we can. Another good way to do that is if you're not following already, we have a Vol Society live show that we do on Facebook every Wednesday night, typically 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That is hosted by our lead analyst, David Morrison here. So please feel free to get on there. That's where we have the live chat open and you can ask and any questions you want, and we'll be sure to answer those either on the show or on the podcast, whichever you prefer. And again, that's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Guys, for our final segment, I have one last question for each of you. We are on a bye week this week, so I'm not going to ask for predictions or anything like that. But I do have one last question I'd like to ask everyone. Now that Tennessee has started the season 4-0, would you like to adjust your original win-loss prediction for this Tennessee team this season? Now, we did this early on, I think maybe on our first podcast, if I'm not mistaken. So, based on where we are right now, Morrison, and by the way, let us know what your prediction was for the listening viewers here, and let us know if you would adjust those based on where we are now. David Dees.
Yeah, my initial prediction was 8-4. I told you I thought they had a ceiling of 9-3. I picked them to go 8-4, and I thought they had a floor of like maybe 7-5. I would say now okay. I'm gonna be honest. I would like to see this team go 10-2 at this point. I'm willing to be happy and content with 9-3 after a 4-0 start to September. I had them originally losing to Pittsburgh. That was one of the losses. I had them at 8-4. But I just think as long as Hendon Hooker stays healthy, I really have seen a lot out of him, and I think he's going to continue to lead this team well. I'm going to pick them to go 10-2, but I'm happy with 9-3 as well. So I will adjust. I'll go from 8-4 to a 9-3, but I would like to see him do 10-2.
David Dees adjusting. All right. I like it. Thanks for your honesty. David Morrison.
I'm gonna do an adjustment too. I had originally 9-3, with losses to Alabama, Georgia, and at LSU. But since now today we know what time that LSU game is, it's going to be a high noon kickoff Eastern time, 11 a.m. In Baton Rouge. I feel more confident about going down to LSU and getting a win. So I think 10-2 right now. I still think we lose to the top two teams in the SEC in Georgia and Alabama, but hey, I'll definitely take finishing third overall in the SEC in year two, especially where we've been the last several years. I think we can get to a flirting with the New Year's Six bowl game, possibly going to the Sugar Bowl. That would be outstanding to go, and whoever wins the Big 12 championship or second place in the Big 12, that'd be it'd be a great matchup along the way. Um, yeah, I mean, just a fantastic second year, and like I said, a great start. I'm going 10-2 now. I'm kind of where Brad was originally at the beginning of the year.
Which leads us to me. Nope. I would not adjust. In fact, I'm feeling even better now about my season prediction of 10-2, as Morrison just said. And I see Morrison with a grin on his face. Hey, Morrison, what'd I say last year, buddy? Remind
You
the
said
audience what I said last year.
you said they were going to win. They're going to go 7-5, I believe, right?
What did
Is
they
that
end
correct?
up at last year?
They ended up at 7-5 before the bowl game. Yeah, and
Said
I
we're
said
going to get
six and
7
six.
wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all right, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging because nothing's happened yet. It's not over yet, guys. We have a long season to go. But however, again, I'm feeling even better about my season prediction of 10-2, one game at a time. We just got to keep figuring out a way to win. So I am the only one here who's keeping my prediction of 10-2. Any other thoughts, comments before we end this segment? What a great episode it's been.
Thank God. Thank God for Hendon Hooker, and thank God for Josh Heupel.
Amen. Praise the Lord. How about you, Morrison?
Now I'm just glad we got through September undefeated. Like I said, there's been some nail biters along the way, but like I said, this team executed when they needed to, and like I said, going 4-0 into the bye week, and now getting ready to really hit the gauntlet of the schedule, and we're really going to see uh, how this team is going to go throughout the rest of the season because it's almost especially in college football, feels like there's three seasons wrapped into one. Especially every month, you feels like you got either an approved team or may not have an improved team, a regress. But like I said, I think this team, the ceiling is very high for them.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Good Old Rocky Talk. We've enjoyed it. We thank you for listening. We love you. We're 4-0 going into the bye week. Have a good night. And go Big Orange.